Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope that everyone is keeping very warm because it's extremely cold here in Cape Town. It's like chilly weather. I don't know where this weather's coming from, but I think someone was spraying because it was too warm. That's how cold it feels, right? Praise effective, guys. Anyway, so I hope you are also very well. I hope that you guys have been spending some quality time with God and reading His Word, of course. So, as you can read from the title, it is So There Was a Fire, which there was. And let me get down to the details of that. Okay. Um, so, let me just paint you a picture. So, me and my cousin, we were very young, primary school days. I think I was maybe 5, 6, and she was probably 7, 8, roughly around that age, very young. And we were at my aunt's place. And usually what happens is that I go there after school, chill there, and then go home afterwards when my parents come back from work. But yeah, so I was there that afternoon, and my aunt went out to go and get something quickly. I think it was like milk or something, but she had to drive far to the store. Um, but yeah, so then we were at home. And of course, as youngsters, we're watching TV. We're sitting in front of the TV screen. Or at least us, we did that. And what were we watching? We were watching SpongeBob, of course, the best. And so yeah, we're watching SpongeBob, very tuned into the screen. And then like we decided, oh, so then my cousin was like, oh, are you hungry? I was like, I guess I could eat, like I was probably hungry. And she was like, okay, then let's go make something to eat. So we go to the kitchen and we see what's there, and she finds, oh, there's Viennas. So like, okay, cool, gonna make Viennas, like maybe put it on bread and all of that other stuff. But then she suggested that we uh, fry the Viennas because like her mother normally does it, and it tastes very nice because obviously the crisp, and put some like a chutney on there with some butter on the bread, and like a sandwich there. Okay. Anyway, so this was the idea, right? So anyway, cousin gets the pot or pan, gets the Viennas, cuts it like it's just there, puts, I think she put oil in, I can't remember, but I think she did, puts oil in the pan, Viennas are there, right, we're good to go. So oh, and then she puts the lid on the pot. Yeah, that's what happened, I think. Puts the lid on the pot, and then um because this was obviously going to take a long while, guys, time is time is money. And so we couldn't waste our time just by standing there. We obviously had to go back to watch SpongeBob because it's very important, right? Obviously for us as young kids. So anyway, we go there and we glue to the screen again, and all of a sudden my cousin, I think she got up and she was smelling something. It's either that or she went to go and check on the Viennas. Anyway, so she gets up, she goes to the kitchen, and she takes the lid of the pot, and all of a sudden there's this fire that comes from the pot. Like it's, guys, it went literally all the way up to like this close to the ceiling. So obviously the fire was like making stuff there on the ceiling. But it wasn't burning the ceiling, it was just like just a ways a bit off, but obviously the heat was getting there. Anyway, she screams there from the kitchen and she calls me. She's like, Danielle, 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 come inside. There's a fire, this and that. I'm like, wait. So I first had to remove myself from what I was watching, get myself out of the mentality of SpongeBob and SpongeBob's world. And then I had to be like, whoa, there's a fire. I had to realize that as well. So that was a process. And then I had to get myself up and then go there to the kitchen, which was also a process, right? Of course, because I'm like, I don't know, just that kind of person. Anyway, go to the kitchen, and my cousin's like hysterical. She's like, oh my word, this fire. Like obviously everything is very serious, guys. Of course it's serious because there's a fire, right? And she's like going on and this and that, the other thing. And then she decides, she was like extremely proactive for that age. I was like, I don't know what's going on here. I was just standing there chilled, like, okay, yeah, I'm supposed to be doing something, but it looks like you got it sorted, but I still want to do something, but I don't know what to do, but I don't know if I'm that invested in doing something. All those kind of emotions from this beep kind of person that's just standing there, that's, I don't know, useless. Anyway, so I so yeah, so then what happens was that was she closed the pot again, and I think she turned the dial down. Not sure, but then at some point but look, throughout this time, she was trying to get me on board with the same level of like stress and heaviness and seriousness, to the level of what was actually going on. She was trying to get me there. But I was just like, you know what? Internally, it wasn't really that stressful for me. But I was trying to show, or trying to look like I was doing something, because this person was now obviously stressed. So I'm trying to now assist. Anyway, so then she goes to so I think she took the pot, and then I think she took it to like the sink. They have like the sink that I think she put it in and maybe open the tap. Something like that happened. And then, but then the ceiling was left with like these dark soot marks of soot, right? And the black soot. And we were stressed, of course, like if a mother comes back, it's going to be a problem. Obviously, we're going to get scolded out, maybe hidings, all of these other things. We're going to be in serious trouble. And she was she was so stressed. I was like, thinking back now, it was so bad of me to not be on that level, because, but look, she was older, but she wasn't that much older. I think she's only 2 years older than me. So in hindsight, I should have had some level of stress there, really. But anyway, so, or some serious level of stress. Anyway, let me not make this too long, guys. I just want to break down all the emotions and all the feelings and all the states of minds and everything, so that you fully grasp where I'm going with this. Anyway, so so then she did the things, and now there's this soot mark there on the ceiling, and she's like, okay, what are we going to do here? We have to like cover this up and whatever. Obviously, we can't do a whole paint job in like 3 seconds because we're small and we can't reach, and no. So, and we can't necessarily wash it because it's too high up. And I think the ladder was just somewhere where we wouldn't have been able to have gotten it, but also it's heavy and all of that. But anyway, so we get the, so the next best thing is, of course, a mop. And that's what we did. We got a mop. And I don't know if it was me or her or both of us that tried to mop the ceiling to try and get that soot stain off the ceiling. And we kind of did, it didn't come off. We were grasping at straws there, if I'm going to be very honest. But I think it helped, it helped to know that we were trying to do something about it, even though it didn't do much. But anyway, so her mother comes back home, and her mother's like, what's going on here? Stressfulness. What happened? People are trying to explain. Mommy, we were hungry. I was just trying to make something that you normally make, this and that, the other thing. And the last thing as I can recall, I don't think her mother was too stressed, maybe just about our safety first. And just worried, like, how did this happen and all of that. And so there's this mark. But yeah, I think our safety came first in her response to what she saw. But anyway, so that happened, right? And like, what's funny is that, okay, so then fast forward to 5 or so years back, or whoops, let me not tell my age there, but let's say I think it was during varsity years. During varsity years, towards the end of my varsity studies, I was staying on res this one year, and of course I'm cooking for myself. And what had happened was that I went there to the kitchen, I put the pot on the stove, and I think the stove was just problematic, and it just went up all the way. And because there was oil in the pan, like, I went to my room quickly. It was a communal kitchen, so I went to my room quickly, closed the door, don't know what I did, came back, and boom, there's a fire. And I'm like, what's going on? Quickly, just this and that, the other thing, calculating, okay, close the pot. I think I closed the pot, or oh no, I turned the dial down first, and then I was like, okay, what now? Took the pot off with the fire blazing, guys, with fire blazing. I picked the pot up because I think someone else was also stressing, like they saw it and they were like, Pick the pot up, go to the sink that's quite close by, put it in the sink and just turn the water up, and it sorted it out. But I was like, okay, chilled. And this other girl was there, was like, why are you, like, what are you doing? You're running there. Because I think they were stressed that I was going to burn or something, man, because I did it so quickly, barely thinking, and just rushed into it and did the things. Anyway, so yeah, fast forward to that. Now, guys, look at the difference there. From this girl who is not really less to put in effort to stress about the seriousness that was before her, as a young child, to this person who's at university, stressing and quick to action, doing the things, sorting out the mess or sorting out the situation in a manner that did it quickly and didn't take too long to do it, man. Anyway, so the comparison that I want to make, and this might be a weird comparison to make, but the one that I want to make is that of lukewarm Christians. Now, if I look at the situation in the beginning where I was, not as internally stressed and moved to action when I was young, compared to when I was older and there was this pot fire. Guys, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know why I'm always there's a pot fire. I'm somehow involved. I apologize, and I can make food, I promise you. But yes, so there was that difference, right? That difference in response, that difference in internal feeling, understanding that this is something serious, understanding that, there's something going on here. I need to do something. I need to act quickly, and I need to get on board, make sure I sort the situation out, because there's lives at stake, right? So the comparison I'm trying to make is to lukewarm Christians. I'm sure you guys have heard the term lukewarm Christians before. Before. And the thing is that it's used in sermons as with a description of people who are neither here nor there. You're not hot, you're not cold. And so let me get to the verse where it speaks of the lukewarm Christians. So we're going to Revelation 3 from verse 15 to 16. You can all go with me, pray with me. Okay, so this is what it says. I know your deeds, that you are neither hot nor cold nor hot. I wish you were either one or the other, exclamation mark. Verse 16. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am about to spit you out of my mouth. Guys, it sounds a bit hectic. And remember, these are words coming from God, right? Speaking about lukewarm individuals and spiritually lukewarm individuals. Those who might be proclaiming that they're Christian, or in fact they do proclaim that they're Christian and that they love God and all of these things, and yet they are still in this state of in-betweenness where they have a duality of doing the worldly things, but still, praising the Lord in a sense and recognizing God and understanding Jesus to a certain degree. And I wanted to look at that and take it a step further in the definition of the lukewarmness, not to take away from this, of course, but just broaden on how a person can be lukewarm, essentially. And to me, that looks like also being a Christian, you maybe understand the biblical things, right? You understand it, you are there, you're present, you go to church, maybe go to prayer meetings, you go to these, all these other things. But you are not urgent about the matters of God. You are not urgent about speaking to other people about God. And I don't mean you need to go out and do street preaching and doing all those sorts of things. But I just mean there is no urgency with the seriousness of what God actually wants us to do. So his mandate. And of course, his mandate is for us to go out into the world and proclaim the gospel. Now, the thing about that is people do it differently, right? people don't, you don't have to do it all the same way. I mean, we are all individuals. Some of us, some people are preachers, others are like motivational speakers, maybe some are doctors, and that's where they find ways in which to bring up God and speak about God and just show God to them by just how they are with their characteristics, fruits of the Spirit. And a lot of people obviously do that. But they would also then, while they are doing those things, even though it looks like, because they're just a doctor, I say that, but because they're just a doctor, they aren't maybe as involved in the faith, right? Which isn't true if the urgency is there, and they, every chance they get, they express the things of God and also represent God and Jesus in such a way that glorifies Him and points that individual to God, right? But I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people who go to church and do all these sorts of things and live their lives, but do not understand the urgency of the matter. And look, guys, if I've learned one thing from the past few years with the pandemic and with all these natural disasters and these wars and all of these things happening, if I've learned one thing is that Jesus is coming. He is so coming. It's not even something you can ignore anymore. And the reason why I'm bringing these things up, man, is because I see people in church, no? Not just my own church, like in like various churches, and I see people in my daily life where they proclaim to be Christian, but there's just something where they aren't doing what I feel like they could be doing for God, in the sense that God has given them so many gifts. And upon speaking to certain individuals, I'm like, wow, you're sitting with so much fire. You are sitting with gold here, just you as a human being and what God has gifted you with and what God has given you. And not necessarily just learned skills, but just the way you think, or the way you express yourself, or the way you are. Like, this is amazing, just how you are, what you think, and all of these other things. I could see it being used in the kingdom in a certain way. And for me, it's like we are missing out on those gifts, on those individuals doing those things, but also you as a person not necessarily using that God has given you, but also you as a person not understanding the urgency of what the mandate God has placed on each and every Christian. You're taking away from yourselves, to put it very bluntly. And look, I will definitely give a testimony of my life, and my life has been an up and down roller coaster in terms of that specific thing. So I'm talking to myself as well, guys. But there's just things that I feel like we are missing out of because there's people sitting with what God has given them. And that kind of stems also from, there's a lot of things it could stem from. It could stem from how you feel about the church. It could stem from what's going on in your life. It could stem from all sorts of things. And not to say that those things are not valid, but another thing it could stem from is just the lack of urgency to understand what is going on and where we need to be and what we need to be doing as Christians, and how we need to put our ear or place our ear closer to God in that sort of way, right? In the way of understanding that this is like something that we need to be doing and take it seriously, right? Sorry, I didn't know that this was going to be such a long video, but I think hopefully you guys will stay for the whole video. But anyway, so let me just go back to the verse. So the verse obviously says that lukewarm, either hot or cold, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to spit you out of my mouth. And guys, that's very harsh. And with the kind of thing that I see that can also be used as part of a Christian who's now also lukewarm, even though that might not seem like a lukewarm Christian, but in the spiritual sense, kind of. And so you lean more towards the hot. So I'm taking the hot as leaning towards like super Christian. What is that? I don't want to be grading, but be grading the like Christians like that. Please forgive me if that's what it sounds like. But I just mean in like the hot and cold sense in regarding what's in scripture. Like I think those people would obviously be more towards the hot side. But there's just this urgency that's lacking a bit, you know what I mean? And what I realized in my life was that there's certain things that I grew out of. Now, in this example with the fire or the fires, in the one sense, I was young, I was ignorant, I was stupid, but I was also not understanding what was going on in front of me. But then, in the later sense, later on, when I was older and doing all these things, understanding what was in front of me, realizing the danger, knowing what I needed to do, doing it quickly, acting quickly, and sorting the thing out, right? And I feel like that came from learning, perceiving, knowing what's going on, and having that sort of perception, and then also obviously acting on it. And so, guys, this comes to my point where I feel like we need to keep up with the word, and we need to be more attentive, care enough, and know when something isn't making biblical sense, and move to action. Like sometimes we see something in church, sometimes we see something in like our everyday life that isn't okay, but we accept it. And that's not how we operate as Christians, especially when it's in wisdom to act upon it, not to act crazy and do crazy things and do, I don't know what else people do, but to actually just look at it and be like, wait, I need to act here, I need to say something. And well within wisdom, please hear me on that one, well within wisdom. So we're doing this with discernment, and not to be consistently judgmental, but with hearts, with a heart's position that is pleasing to God. So let's be wise and stay alert, guys. So look, don't be the 5 and 6-year-old me who was casual, just flatlining there in front of someone who's expressing herself, or someone who's stressing and who's seeing what's in front of them and being like, oh, what's going on? And then at some point, like, sometimes you get to that point, sorry to now continue this, but at some point, sometimes you get to that point where you're like, wait, why is this person stressing? Like, okay, maybe you're stressing too much or whatever. But then you're not stressing at all. So then, like, what's going on? And so don't be me, guys, in that sense, Be the older version of me with the other pot. Sorry, with the older version of me with the pot and the quickness that I moved with. Anyway, be that person in the spiritual sense. And yeah, but let's be on alert. Let's not be lukewarm with this, and let's define ourselves and move our identity more with who God is and who Jesus and the walk that Jesus walked, right? Let's be honest with what's in front of us, but then also keep our ear to what God is doing and what God wants to do in our lives and through our lives, for others and for our surroundings, especially especially where we find ourselves. So guys, I hope you got something from this. I know this was an extra long video. I'm very sorry about that. I think it was the explanation in the beginning, but I wanted to break down the mentality and just everything surrounding that initial fire, so that the trademarks, or look at the signs, the emotional signs that are there when you are in that state of unalertness regarding the faith, and unalertness, inalertness, I don't know how to say it, but non-alertness when it comes to the things that are happening around us and how we should respond as Christians. So yeah, guys, I hope you are blessed and encouraged by this. The last thing that I'm going to say is that, so I didn't upload a video last week. I wasn't able to, but I'm posting obviously this week, and I will post next week again. And then of course the 2-week cycle will start from there. But yeah, so hopefully you guys are blessed by this, encouraged by this, and God bless you.